so short, just
the things we do for journalism.
Everybody's watching to see, like, what's he doing?
It's gonna be fun developing that.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald City Video Podcast. I'm Russ, and this is Zach.
Hello. How goes it?
It goes. We're gonna try something a little. It's funny because I feel like I've said we're gonna try something different. And this is an idea that we've kicked around like 6 times, and every time it spirals out of control and becomes a 3-hour episode.
Yep.
So we'll see.
I've got a timer.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna watch it just go up.
But so what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about some of the big news stories that shaped April. And kind of talk about where our head's at going into May. Obviously, we've got summer movies coming up fairly soon, but we're going to try to keep from going too far in that direction because that'll be its own whole thing.
Yeah.
And first of all, we should talk a little bit about kind of the state of the ECV because you and I have been machinating behind the scenes on kind of marrying Visu News, which is your website Substack thing that does your political stuff, and like my Emerald City Video, the entertainment side, and kind of working together better, giving people subscriber perks that run between the two and all that kind of stuff. And part of that is wanting to do a little bit more structure and a little bit more regularly scheduled ECV episodes, but being more regularly scheduled also means we can't go 3 hours every time because at some point your computer has to sleep.
Yeah. Also, I was like literally double checking. My laptop is like completely maxed out on like space. I have like a ancient for whatever ancient I think COVID era MacBook M1 that has 256 gigs of space, and I was like double checking on my Mac, like my desktop Mac is I have got 100 gigs worth of space on this one. So now that hard drive space is basically buying gold at this market too. If gold was also crazy expensive, but that is probably related. But
we also I think oil hit like $125 this week or something.
It's bad when you have to decide. I'm a Costco. I have a Costco membership, and I'm just like I have to like drive across. It is worth it now to drive across like the 15 minutes over to the Costco to fill up on gas. But I'm like, wait till it goes down lower, and also like make decisions. I'm making decisions on buying gas when by watching basically the news, and that's like depressing because Iran is still the whole thing is going on, but we decided as news organizations, I guess everyone's just decided we don't have to cover it that much. But it's just driving up oil prices supposedly was the reason why everyone voted for Donald Trump, but anyway
so but we want to talk about a handful of things. One thing that I kind of want to shift our order a little bit just because the last thing you have on the list is kind of the easiest thing to burn through a little bit. Which is that Newsarama, one of the biggest kind of comic book news websites of the last 30 years, is no more.
That's wild.
Newsarama has gone through a number of ownership changes over the course of, I think it's been around for 28 years. And its most recent owners, and I can't remember the name, but they are the same group that has, what is it, Radar?
I forget who else is in that group, but kind of very clickbaity kind of news sites usually.
Radar
was at least. I don't know if the rest of them are, but
let me see. I'm trying to find it because the thing is that I can just go to Newsarama. So for the last 6 years or so, since 2020, Newsarama has been part of the Games Radar group. And they've had kind of Games Radar branding, and oftentimes the URLs point there. But Newsarama has continued to exist as a brand. They were bought up by the group that owns Games Radar, who also own Total Film and some other stuff. And as of this week, They just no longer exist as a unique
Yeah.
brand or a unique URL, however you want to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you go to newsarama.com right now, it takes you to gamesradar.com/newsarama,
Mhm.
and it's basically a WordPress blog
Yeah.
where the category is Newsarama.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of hilarious right now if you go and look. Um, the There is no Newsarama logo,
Yeah.
but like Newsarama is just a size H2 font over the top image on the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh God,
Uh,
that's
but just wanted to kind of acknowledge it. Newsarama, again, like they've been like this for a while. They haven't been a great site in a while. Um, the Chris Arent, who was their last kind of, I think, independent editor, who wasn't just a Games Radar employee,
yeah.
wrote a really great piece about the kind of end of the era there.
Mhm.
But the back in 2008-ish, I don't remember exactly when I was there, but I was one of the people at Newsarama's blog, and I would occasionally be able to sell some of my stuff to the front, like to the main site as a freelancer. So I was
Yeah.
never a staffer there, but that was my gig for like 3 years in
Mhm.
journalism while I was basically making a living doing other stuff. Basically, Newsarama was the last time that this wasn't my main job.
Yeah.
Um, After I left Newsarama, I ended up going to comic book, and we all kind of know how that went. Uh,
Yeah.
but and Newsarama, I'm really like I'm bummed to see it go again. Like I'm not surprised because for a really long time now it's been a shell of itself.
Mhm.
Uh, but like I said, up until literally this week, they at least like maintained their own website, their own domain, their own branding,
Yeah.
and now they are just like a vertical inside of the
Yeah.
Games Radar website.
It's
Uh,
I get why I get as a company game why Games Radar didn't like sell the brand or something like that because they'd be creating their own competition.
yeah,
Because they, you know, and Games Radar doesn't just cover games and so but it's just kind of like but I also, you know, it's just like why are you running two separate sites under the same brand? Because that was a big thing. Like Gawker had the entire thing, and then, you know, a couple other sites kind of tried to do that
yeah.
whole same thing too, where it's just like, oh, we have five different brands under the same umbrella kind of
Yeah.
thing. And obviously that's kind of no longer a thing
Well,
as
and
much. So
this is I mean, again, uh, pop, not Popverse. Popverse is where the article that you
yeah.
handed me, but Newsarama and Games Radar are different enough that
Yeah.
you at least kind of understand them existing under the same
Yeah.
banner. But like you look at like the Gawker family of sites back then, and it's
Yeah.
like, man, you could hardly tell a lot of those things apart. And it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but yeah, like I said, it's a bummer to see it go. Newsarama was like in a lot of ways the heir apparent to Wizard magazine.
Yeah.
It's funny because Chris Arendt's article kind of elevates Newsarama at the expense of comic book resources,
Hmm.
and like I remember CBR being more of a presence in the early days. Certainly, like when I was at Wizard doing my internship,
Yeah.
I remember we wrote something about CBR in the early days of its existence.
Yeah.
Um, but so I think that like those two kind of came up, and in a lot of ways, like to me, it always feels like you need to have two big comics news sites because it's almost like
Yeah.
the market mirrors Marvel and DC.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and right now we just don't have really any like
Yeah.
because CBR is a like subsidiary of Screen Rant now
Hmm.
and has similar issues to Newsarama in terms of being very clickbaity, listically, like, you know,
Yeah.
there are some really great people who write there,
Yeah.
just like there are some really great people who write at Screen Rant, but like the kind of stuff they make does not appeal to me as a reader.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't last very long there as a writer.
Yeah.
um,
So it's like as a person who's primarily like I have dipped my toes into, you know, into
yeah,
entertainment journalism writing, but it's as a consumer, it's sad that there's no place for anything to actually either talk about actual comics. Like obviously there's, and I mean there's not even a place like, I mean obviously there's Variety, you know, I mean there's like,
I mean, the beat is still a
yeah,
thing,
well,
and there's
no,
a
no, but
handful of
I mean,
other.
sorry, not like there is no, not as in a no, because obviously there are. But
Yeah,
like, there's not like the big, as somebody who, like, I know the beat because you, you right there.
right,
But not as a consumer, I would not
right.
necessarily know. And like, I mean, comicbook.com has kind of lost that. They gave up that a
Yeah,
while ago, a long time ago. And and all these, and Newsarama's got, just, and so there's like not really any places where it's just like you can easily as a standard consumer kind of not because I mean like a lot of the places um the entry level of like comics
yeah,
books discussion is a little bit higher than say somebody
yeah,
like me where I'm just like I don't know who the fuck is writing Batman. I don't know who's writing. I
yeah,
don't know who's writing or working on any product right now. Um, and because I'm just like not in a. I haven't been reading. Don't tell anyone. I haven't been reading any comics right at this exact moment.
yeah,
And
yeah,
so it's just like it's tough to. I basically just whenever like Derek announces something, Derek Roberts
yeah,
announces something, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm writing comics again. But it's yeah, it's just kind of weird. It's weird and sad considering like it's still one of our number like anytime there's a comic book movie. But we've had this
yeah.
anyway. We've had this conversation about 40 times. You can go back into
Yeah,
other
but anyway,
conversations
I just
about
wanted to talk
yeah,
about the fact that Newsarama's gone.
yeah,
I'm I'm still bummed. Almost all of the work that I did there is completely lost to
really.
the sands of time because when I don't think it was even this ownership group. I think it was the previous ownership group because at one point they were owned by the same people who owned Science.com.
Yeah,
Um, and I'm pretty sure that it was them who just nuked all of the blog at archives.
yeah,
Because if you remember, like Newsarama used to be, and part of the reason I think that both Newsarama and CBR were so successful
hmm,
in the kind of Web 2.0 era
yeah,
is because they created these social spaces that predated social media sites. Um, you know, they both had really active forums and Newsarama had blog at, which
yeah,
was for people like me who like I was getting paid in exposure unless they decided that something was good enough to go to the
yeah, yeah.
front page, in which case they'd buy it from me.
Hmm.
But as you can imagine, if they don't have to pay for it, why would they kick it to the front page? I
Yeah,
think it only happened twice.
yeah,
Um, but the other side of that was like the fan forums, which was talk at. And so uh, to me, I'm like the collapse of the community around Newsarama pretty much is what guaranteed this would eventually happen, in my opinion.
yeah,
Because again, like the creating like a bespoke social space that wasn't just MySpace or Twitter
yeah,
is
yeah,
part of what made those sites special. And that just it's not. And I'm not blaming the current ownership per se, because again, that's just not a thing that exists anymore
yeah.
on like websites. We've outsourced all of that to these platforms, which is going great, by the way. No problems there. Um,
Yeah,
but like I do think that that decision is probably was the death knell for Newsarama because like it really did hit a point where it went from being, again, like I think back to the late 90s, the early 2000s, and I think of Newsarama and CBR, and I'm like, they were really cool spaces. They basically filled the gap that was left when Wizard stopped being relevant.
yeah,
And, you know, for a lot of years that hung on, and then all of a sudden we started getting that first new batch of like ownership changes and CMS changes, and all of a sudden everything looks the same. And and
yeah, yeah,
and so the flattening of the internet and the way that like we've taken social spaces away and given them off to Facebook,
yeah,
um, I think really hurt these kind of early adopters. And again, like CBR is still around, but they're as much a shell of themselves as Newsarama has been,
yeah,
and really like it. We might not be that far from Newsarama one day, or from Screen Rant one day, just being like, hey, you know what? That's probably a good idea. Why don't we just bring all the CBR stuff under the umbrella?
yeah.
Oh,
I'm kind of always surprised that they do. Well, like I mean I think that like they do because people know to I mean like I type in back like
yeah,
I want to know this level news, and so I just
yeah,
there's just an automatic start typing in comic book or whatever site,
Yeah.
And it's sort of like now it's unfortunately it's just like it just ends up being I go to Reddit usually to find out
Well, I
like
mean, it's frustrating because like we talk a lot about the political and social ramifications of like media consolidation at on a macro level, where
yeah,
it's like the same handful of billionaires owning the TV stations
yeah,
and the newspapers. But it's like this is the same problem. It's on a smaller scale and it's not life altering for most
mhm,
people. But like you don't get the same quality of coverage
yeah,
at Newsarama and CBR that you used to. And that's not even because there aren't good people at their parent organizations.
yeah.
It's because they've flattened everything to make it as easy to manage as possible and to make it as broadly appealing as possible.
Yeah.
Uh,
I mean, it's sad and like I mean, I sadly unfortunately I own the book, but I have not started reading it yet.
hmm.
Cory Doctorow's and Shitification,
Oh yeah.
and where I know at least what some of his points are because I've listened to several interviews, but is one of his kind of things of like I mean, at this point where everything is kind of for one purpose, which is feeding AI and feeding and kind of like
Yeah.
funneling you towards that, and that's kind of all that matters. And then getting rid of where the only thing at all that matters is profitability. And so it's just like it's
Yeah.
just like you're working at any of these sites you were. I won't mention any
Yeah.
any sites that both of us have me briefly worked at or whatever. But it was just it's just churn was it's I forget where I actually reread the term churnalism
Yeah.
of just churning it, and it's just like so there's no time, so you can have these
Mhm.
great. You can have great journalists. There's so many great journalists that like work. I assume still where I don't know who's left
Yeah.
at there, but like worked at a lot of these sites because that's where else are you going to go? I mean, like
Yeah.
what else are you going to do? Like some people can do Substack, some people can
Yeah.
go kind of solo, but not everybody.
Yeah.
And so it just ends up being a whole uh thing where it's just like because it's the same thing with the why do movies look like absolute trash now? Like CG, why do Marvel movies like look like trash? And then you go back to like the first Captain America,
Yeah.
and you're like, well, and everybody every single time it's just like nobody has enough time to do the CG. It's all the same people. It's not like they're hired. The
Right.
same people are the same people making that movie. They're making the Daredevil TV show. It's just, do I have 15 minutes to do this, or do I have 2 hours, or do I have a week, or do I
Yeah.
have a month? And it's the same thing with every level of journalism. I hate that even on my own site where it's just like no, like I covered a white nationalist because that's my life on Wednesday, and like I was just like, thank fucking God no one else was there. Like when no other journalist is there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a New York Times photographer. I don't know if there's a reporter in the crowd or not,
Right.
but that was it. And then it was me there, and I was just like, this is great because I can actually take my time on this because I don't have to beat the somebody else printing something as
Yeah.
because it's the only way that anyone gives a shit is if you're basically the first person. Either you work for a big site or you're the first
Yeah.
person breaking the news. And so like that's the only thing. So actually like I didn't take that much time. I still like worked through the night and everything like that and like published it's already been published. But
Right.
it's nice when that actually happens. But like otherwise,
Yeah.
but most stories is like we go, I'm really hoping that like this year we can together at least hit one convention or something like that. Probably not New
Yeah.
York or something like that, but like something close to New York or whatever. And because like I miss covering that myself, but it's just like those type of things. Like unless you get some weird exclusive, somebody messes up and, and says something they weren't
Yeah.
supposed to, but it's like that's it's all just churning and just making sure it's getting out
Yeah.
as quick as possible. Send the files. And journalism is just
Yeah, for sure. And I mean that's again like it's funny. I recently I rewatched an old Folding Ideas video
Mhm,
he did about these guys, the Mickelson twins, who he
mhm,
called contrapreneurs, like con man entrepreneurs. And they had this grift set up where they were selling a course and they would teach you how to do these like audiobooks
mhm.
basically. It's like you come up with an idea using like keyword optimization
Yeah.
and then you like pay somebody a very small amount at a ghostwriting agency to write you a short book and then you take that short book and you turn it into an audiobook and you make money on Audible.
Yeah.
Um and uh to kind of demonstrate the ineffectiveness of this process, Dan Olson, the guy who hosts the channel, wrote one of these books like under the same conditions. It's like it has to be done 25,000 words in 30 days. It has to be blah 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 blah. And when you're talking about 1,000 words a day, it's like that's really not an unreasonable amount of writing. Like I don't think a day goes by that I don't write at least 1,000 words of something.
Yeah.
But having done comic book for all that time and having like written, most of the time it's okay, so 400 words times 8, it's like you're expected to at minimum do like 3,000 words.
Yeah, that was
a day. And I could do that right up until I couldn't. And at some point my brain broke. And now I look back at it and I'm like, how did I do that? Because the last like 3 months I was there, I couldn't get half of those numbers. And I think most of it's just depression. But like
writing that, I mean, this is like, like if you Blakey, I feel like there's a movie, but like, I mean, like if you're I'm gonna say great artist or something like that, but then all you're doing is like, there's like a number of movies about like musicians who are like great musicians and trying to do the art, and they realize the pop single sells, and so they're just churning that, and it just breaks them. It makes them drink or whatever, and it's just like, I mean, I think that's for like it. You don't have to be, you don't have to be my brain was like, you don't have to be Liberace, and I was like, what the fuck, Liberace? Well, that's the pull. But you don't have to be like, like a concert pianist or whatever, like Mozart or something to like realize it's just like when you're doing something that is creative, and all journalism should be some level of creative, because you're trying to make it interesting for the people to read. And when you're just trying to do that churn, and it just ends up being a series of like copies and pastes of like, oh, I have a block where I can pull this in that'll make the 400 word, make 50 words that I have to insert.
I have the log line for the movie, so there's 100 words that are accounted for in every single article. And
that's I mean, that's the thing. Is like, it's so tough. I'm like, I have a goal. My goal is every other day I publish something, and it's just like I don't have anything, like, because I'm not a person who just like writes about whatever I see. I mean, like, if you give me a piece, I can add something to it, or I can at least bring things together. Like my brain works that way well. But like, I don't, like, what's the fucking point? There's 17 other people. It's Substack. There's 74,000 other people. Oh my God, Donald Trump said this fucking thing. And I'm like, unless it's like very specific, a very niche thing, we're like, oh, he said 1488 in a speech. And it's like, okay, that's unfortunately, that's the thing I'm talking about. And then no one gives a shit because anyway, he did say 1488 in a speech and no one fucking cared. But anyway, I'm still like, I was literally the only person that caught it on the internet, and people didn't believe me. And I'm like, here's the video of it. Anyway, sorry.
We're doing a great job.
I know.
Short,
timing. We're not even past the first story. We should. What else? Do you have any final thoughts on?
No, like I said, I wanted to mention it up top because for me, it's a real bummer to lose a resource like that, even though it was kind of already gone. And like I said, go visit your friendly neighborhood Wayback Machine and check out Newsarama circa like 2006, 2008, because I think that was the last time it was like really at the top of its game before it started getting sold around and things started getting weird.
The one thing I will add, because I think we kind of like I think I passed on it or whatever, but you mentioned is that like all of your work is, that you did there is gone. And like, I think that's something that when these sites get bought and moved to another thing, in another place, and another server, and another way, because we've always talked about like all these interviews that we've done, all this video that we've done, that was just sent to sites that we work for. And we never, sometimes they were posted, sometimes they weren't, whatever. Like, I think about all the set visits I did, and I would just send information to them because no one ever gave me like a budget to do more do you want me to turn these into posts? And so they would like, I think they just were sending me there because they had to send somebody, which I was fine. I'll go to Ireland and hang out with a bunch of cool actors and especially Into the Badlands, great show. But but it's just like all of that is gone. And like, other than the stuff I have, and like I've been, if you go to both of our YouTube pages where we've been posting, older interviews that that we've done, and they do really well. Like, I mean, for like my videos, like my like
Yeah.
esoteric interview that I did with some, I mean, esoteric to me, with some Chinese actress who was in the movie The Great Wall that I don't know and but never like really broke into American cinemas, but like holy shit, the traffic on that most is
Yeah.
crazy because the Japanese audiences or whatever Chinese audiences has found it would be Chinese audience it would have found it, and so like that's it, but it's depressing that there's so many sites like that that are just that do disappear tomorrow, and for some reason we just don't. I think we also rely on the every single time I hear something I complain about this and people go, oh, well, there's the Internet Archive. And I'm like, except it doesn't save videos. It doesn't save photos. It doesn't, or
Yeah.
the Wayback Machine. And it's just like, it doesn't save anything that's important. Like the Village Voice for me is the biggest example where
Yes.
like work that they sent in to the goddamn Pulitzer committee to submit for their photos for this Pulitzer after the Unite the Right rally that I covered, is gone. All those
Yeah.
photos are gone from their website, and every photo that I've ever taken for that for the Village Voice, which was like, okay, I can be a journalist thing, even though I was being
Yeah.
paid absolute trash by the Village Voice, but I was like, yes, I will do that because it's a fucking Village Voice, and it's the reason I got into journalism was because I read the Village
Yeah.
Voice as a kid. And anyway, we are way long past that. Let's go to the next story. What's
Excuse me.
yeah.
Why don't you take point because I just lost my tab.
I mean, I think that I mean the one of the ties into kind of what we're talking about with when it comes to like the AI is this this desperate need. Every company is AI forward.
Yeah.
And that's like for some reason, and even like big tech companies that like I don't know why they would be, I mean, like they're already big tech companies. They're already making crazy, stupid amounts of money. They have to figure out a way to do this because there's just so much fucking money in this and people are throwing money and ideas at it. So Netflix
Yeah.
is, this is from The Verge. Netflix will use AI to make ad breaks look less like ad breaks because that's what we need in society.
Yeah.
I have I don't know if you have Netflix right now, but like I have the
I
ad.
don't.
Yeah, I have the ad thing, and then like I know they're doing this as they're increasing prices next month. It's $1, it's like $8.99, but I'm like I have a max on which I will pay like out of all my streaming services and things like
Yeah.
that together, and I'm like, okay, that's damn near close to my max. Like that
Yeah.
extra dollar is putting up there also like the level that I watch Netflix. I kind of like what I do is with Netflix is like I do it for like 2 months and then watch everything on just kind of focus on Netflix
Yeah.
and watch everything I would want to watch and then cancel it and then come back 3 months later because there's just I don't care. Like you're not watching, it's like unless we're watching something for the podcast, like there's nothing
Yeah.
that I care. Like I'm excited to sit down and finally watch the last season of Daredevil and the Wonder show, the other Wonder Man show on Disney, and it's just like I'm excited to watch those, but like I don't have anyone that I would talk to about it other than you, and I don't think you're watching either of them, so it's just like I don't care. But anyway, but Netflix is if you're this is from The Verge, if you're on Netflix's ad supported plan, that means you might see an ad that blends in with the show you're watching, whether it's Bridgerton or Wednesday. Netflix says advertisers can insert this new ad format in the middle of what you're watching, or put them on the screen when they hit pause. They could contain an overlay to or call to action when they roll out by the end of the year. This is the level of like depressing and like I don't even know what like this is a Running Man kind of level.
Yeah.
The last Running Man, and it just I don't know why that makes me think of it, but it's just like it's the fact that like they can do this and like it's always just like what about the kids? Is like this is one of those things where it's just like I can, for the most part, notice when it's an ad, and I don't assume. I assume that Netflix is not going to be doing some like weird, dangerous thing of like, oh, here, take these prescription pills, and it's in the middle of like a poison mixture or something like that from Wednesday. I mean, like something that could be like, dangerous for people to kind of make those connections. But it's just like, like on the kids programming, that kids are just sitting there, and it's like we gotta at least have like the station break. Like I feel like we were always disgusted, like our parents were always disgusted about the amount of ads and like selling like that were on Saturday morning cartoons because there's always action figures and whatever, but there was a station break and it's just like I knew that was an ad. And it flashes back to like I remember the first time that I was watching with my niece. Uh, she was probably 3.5 or 4, I think, and she's a kid of the streaming, just like your, I mean, well, I guess not your kid. I was going to say, like your kids, the kids of the streaming. And I'm like, you're running a Plex server off of it. Like, we're like DVDs, walls everywhere. I'm like, probably not your kids. Your kids are probably,
I mean,
but yeah, no,
like,
yeah, no,
they're
I know.
still
But I mean,
kids,
like, it was,
but
yeah, but I figured it's the wrong audience to say, like, your kids,
yeah,
streaming. But she was watching something and like, there was some movie that I wanted to show her. And it was the only place was like Tubi or something like that.
yeah.
And at that point, she had only watched, Disney on the ad supported plan and who, and like everything she had was either PBS or on a not on a, no ads kind of platform, but Tubi obviously is not. And like it was in the middle of a scene, like Tubi's famous ad breaks, which is like, oh, it's in the middle of an action scene. Let's throw an ad right here. Fuck this
Yeah,
movie. Fuck the director's intent. And which is always wild too, is a side rant to a side rant. Almost all the movies that are on Tubi, like especially like the movies from the 80s and 90s, most
yeah.
of them are cut for ads
For
because they
TV,
knew
yeah.
that like they were going to go to TV. And so you can watch like even a Spielberg film, like there's like breaks in moments
Yeah,
and like that was the way things work. And like I don't and just it's just like the arc of
yeah.
anyway, but she was watching, she's like she got really angry and she was just like, what is this? What happened? Why did you turn? She started like not angrily, like she was gonna
Yeah, yeah.
like not in a bad way, but she was like, why did you change the channel? And I was like, no, that's an advertisement, hun. I'm sorry that I had to be the one to introduce this to you.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, but yeah, but it's just like, and so now we're just gonna like just slide those through, and like Wednesday or whatever, like Coco Melon is going to be selling dick pills to because I mean like unless you're literally on a kids plan, I mean they're not like the ads that I see on here are not like even if I watch like an animated thing, they're meant for the person that owns the account
The
because that's
account,
the
right?
information. They don't know that a child is potentially watching, some whatever movie,
Yeah,
Disney movie or something like that. They know that unless I like list her on the account or something, which I'm not, and so
right.
this just seems bad.
Yeah. And I mean, again, like, not to belabor a point, but like,
Yeah.
I feel like huge chunks of the internet are getting so much worse and so
Yeah.
much less consumer friendly all the time. Um, you've got all these places now that are starting to pivot towards like trying to demand biometric data and stuff like
Yeah.
yes, I'm doing a Plex server. Yes, I'm doing an audiobook shelf server, but I'm also now looking at like, okay, so how do I self-host a Discord alternative?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Because like,
now that, yeah, Discord is, shot itself in the face.
but yeah, this I really hate this. Like, I understand what they're trying to do, which is they're trying to avoid exactly what you're talking about with
Mhm.
Tubi. They're trying to
Yeah.
avoid that jarring,
Yeah.
like, oh shit, did I sit on the remote
Hmm.
reaction? But like, the other side of that is like
Yeah.
anything you do to try to smooth that transition and hide the fact that you're going to an ad,
Yeah.
to me, like that like it's bad. I mean,
Yeah.
again, you hit you hit it on the head with the example of like the Saturday morning cartoons where it's like you would advertise the action figures or like the characters would come on
Mhm.
screen to sell cereal or whatever, but like there was always a demarcation because
Yeah.
like
It's
we
like,
created laws
yeah.
for that purpose to make sure that kids weren't being like lulled into
Yeah.
thinking that like this ad is part of the show.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was also back in the day when every single cartoon that we were watching was most of them were created out of action figures or created
Yeah.
because there was a there was a cartoon that we all watched as kids that was just about talking land sharks that like fought battles that were like that was literally designed because they're like somebody some in some Madison
Yeah,
Avenue
yeah.
building was just like, you know what, sharks with guns, guys. This is gonna
Yeah.
fucking sell. And I think it got 4 seasons. So I mean, like, I
Yeah.
guess it did well enough. But it's crazy because it's just like it.
And now those
There's
characters are back at Oni Press.
more for it. I can't wait to see what Oni Press does with them. But as we were talking, as we were conspiring on what was it? Because Superman, the obviously the original Superman is falling
Yeah.
out of copyright,
Mhm.
or falling into public domain, and
Right.
um,
Which
and
is
so
like another 5 years or something. It's
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
imminent, but
yeah.
like, yeah.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's just like yeah, no, you do some really fun things with things, but it's I just don't understand is Netflix, especially considering they used to do that, like we, as I was saying before, it was just like they movies were edited, like the TV for movie. Sometimes there were like the movie that you saw in the theater, and then there was the TV movie, the TV broadcast movie, which would
Yeah.
have a ever so slight different edit. Sometimes more
Yeah.
dramatic. Sometimes like I don't know if I could some movies I could notice, that there was a difference.
Yeah.
But like
Like
normal.
a good example is like Child's Play 2, where there were
Mhm.
like whole scenes that were dropped from the movie
Yeah,
and then added for the TV version because they needed to fill time. Or Mallrats.
yeah,
Like Mallrats has like a huge amount of stuff in the ABC cut that was not in the movie. Like I don't know if you've watched the ABC cut anytime recently.
I don't think so. Yeah.
So they make like a passing reference to like um something that happened at the governor's mansion,
Yeah.
like the ABC, the TV cut of Mallrats opens with like 10 minutes
Mhm.
of like
Oh, yeah.
what happened at the governor's mansion.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like they were doing like a play that was like a reenacting the Revolutionary War, and so he was
Mhm.
like a British soldier, and he had a musket, and it got caught in his girlfriend's hair, and they thought he was trying to kill the
Yeah,
governor.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but
It's
like,
yeah.
but yeah. Anyway, like, but yeah, some of the changes are crazy, but like you're right, like the for most of the existence of home
Mhm.
media, um, it's been ad supported, and we've always had like it's always been structured in so that it
Yeah.
was a pleasurable or as pleasurable as it
Yeah.
can be viewing experience.
Also, so you could, I mean, it was like, oh, we have 3 minute break between this, and I'm going to run to the bathroom. I'm going to grab popcorn, do whatever the thing,
Yeah.
whatever the thing is that I need to do, stare at my phone, for whatever 3 minutes, and
Yeah.
obviously later, but back when we all watched broadcast television back in like
Yeah.
2006 or something, and it's just like, but like Netflix produces so many of their own products, and they're already telling, I mean, there's the I don't know if this has ever actually been proven. I feel like we start talking about these things that like don't have like documented proof, but
Yeah.
that like they direct their writers to like basically pretend like there's a talk about the action so that
Oh
people
yeah.
people are
Like the
looking at the phone.
second screen
Yeah,
thing.
the second screen thing. Yeah.
I think that that comes from a writer
Mhm.
who has spoken about that publicly.
Yeah. But
And
either
so I think
yeah.
it's true, but it's not proven in the
Yeah,
sense
yeah.
that like Netflix is probably never going to admit that outright.
Yeah, yeah. But it's just one of those is like, so I mean like they already like direct their films, I mean in a
Yeah.
way, and produce their films in a way that like you haven't really thought about that until like since like the studio systems
Yeah.
back in the 30s. Um and so like there's no reason why they can't say, okay, so 15 minutes in we need an ad break. So there
Right.
needs to be an arc, there needs to be a beat where we can cut away naturally and then like do that every
Right.
time, as opposed to, again, watching like Tubi or whatever, where there are ad breaks in these things and they just ignore them because they're going by some, I don't know if they're going by an algorithm or they're just going by, because they don't see, you can look at the like where the ad breaks are in the
Yeah.
timeline, and you're like, they don't seem to be like logical in any way,
Evenly
shape, and
spaced.
form.
You know what
So
it probably is? It's probably one of those stupid things like uh we based on whatever data they've harvested, it's
mhm.
like these are the points when people are the most engaged.
Yeah.
These are the times when people aren't looking in another tab, when their volume's not down,
Yeah.
and
I
you
don't,
know what I
it's
mean?
always jarring like watching something like Columbo where like genuinely, because it was made for television, it was just
Yeah,
made,
yeah,
it was TV, and you're like, there are station breaks there or whatever, and then they're like, you know what, fuck these station breaks. Stuff these
yeah,
clear like woo, woo. You have the music of the whoa 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 or whatever in that
yeah,
sitcom, and they're like, no, we're gonna run right through this, and then 30 seconds later hit a break, and you're
yeah. One of my favorites is when, and then, like I thought about this because it's something that happens on Columbo a lot for me.
like,
Um, One of my favorites is when you get to like the end of the show
mhm.
and like you're past the villain getting his comeuppance, and you're just about to get to the like
Yeah.
last 40 seconds of show
Mhm.
before the music hits, and that's when you get an ad break, and it's just like,
Yeah.
do I do I just skip to the next episode? Is it worth sitting through
Yeah.
40 seconds of ads for 40 seconds of show?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I know. Especially considering it's something I've seen 74 times and I can
yeah,
actually remember. And it, I don't know. it just if I was a screenwriter and a director, or and producing content for any of the streaming services, like specifically, I knew that, like, oh, I'm making this thing, and I'm like, I
Yeah.
would rather have that choice to, okay, I have to ever so slightly tweak my script to be
Right.
like, okay, there's a very clear beat 15 minutes in, and then 30 minutes in, and then 45 minutes, every 15
Right.
minutes or every 8, whatever it ends up needing to be, then I'll do that. I mean, then that's just
Yeah.
part of the job because you want to do it. But I mean, like, knowing that, these studio execs basically just only making, obviously everyone's always making decisions
Right.
mostly about money, but like only on, there's not a question they can do ad breaks. It's just like making it work with the product, which is always something that
Yeah.
aggressively, this leads in, don't worry, into the next story very nicely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, is that like these people don't actually care, because I mean, like, something that is like, you read about the Hollywood system way back in the day, you
Yeah.
read Hollywood Babylon and things like that, and like
Yeah.
whatever, like terrible stories of these horrible fucking people that ran it, but they cared about the fucking movies. Like, they cared about the movies because they wanted to make money, because they wanted people to see them, not that they
Yeah.
just, the stockholder the share of their whatever
Right.
wasn't the most important thing. And then 6 layers down the line is like, oh, maybe we make a good product, because
Yeah.
like it feels like, I think the only place that's weirdly doing it right now is Apple, where they're, which is funny, is like the only one that I'm like kind of not, I very rarely ever subscribe to,
Yeah.
because there's not doing a lot. But I mean, like, I feel like almost every single one of the things that they make is for the film, and like none of it
Yeah.
feels like, oh, this very clearly like fit a metric that they're trying to go for.
Yeah. The
Like,
most mercenary thing that they've done so
yeah,
far is forcing another season of Ted Lasso.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, not fair.
which, I mean, I have a lot of trust in Bill Lawrence, so I assume it'll be fine.
Yeah,
But like it is like the one and only thing where you're like, come on, guys. Like, he talked for 3 years about how it was going to be a 3 year show.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I feel like I always forget, because I, again, like, I just, that show just never really caught, like, I watch more of it on clips on like
Yeah,
TikTok and
yeah.
like Instagram than I've ever watched. I've tried to watch the show and it just never caught with me.
Mhm.
And but like, it's, at least it's not the fucking Office, like, frankly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I would be happy if everyone's talking about Ted Lasso and it's like genuine goodness, then, oh, he smirked and looked at the camera, isn't that a fucking hilarious idea for an entire fucking, let's change the way cinema work, let's the way that
Yeah.
change that television works, because one fucking show everyone like looked at the camera and made a goofy face, and it's like now 75 fucking, anyway, I hate the fucking
Oh,
Office.
I really am enjoying this moment where like so much of TV is being like done, like, because Bill Lawrence, like, it isn't just that he has Ted Lasso.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
he also has Shrinking, and he
yeah.
has Rooster, and he has a new Scrubs show, and it's just like, uh I find
Mhm.
Lawrence to me feels a lot like James Gunn.
Mhm.
Like, he does funny stuff, but also everything he does has a soul. And it's like Ted Lasso, I it's not 100% for me either.
Mhm.
I've enjoyed it when I've sat down to watch a handful of episodes, but I've never sat all the way through a season.
Yeah.
Um, but like, I would prefer, like, I really like the sensibility of Bill Lawrence. And
Yeah.
if you're gonna have like everybody trying to copycat one successful show,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll take that show being a Bill Lawrence show
Yeah.
over that show being Ken Quapis or whatever.
Mhm.
Um, not to shit on Ken Quapis, but like, he's one of those dudes who's like, he wasn't even a showrunner for The Office, but he directed like 100 episodes, and he's also directed 100 episodes of every other sitcom ever made.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That has got to be a wild, like, anyway, but like, just to pop in and like, unless it's a show that can take, like, some shows that like have dramatic fucking feelings from one episode to another,
yeah,
but like, that's got to be a wild thing to like be a guy that does like sitcom shows, like directs and
yeah,
like doesn't, and you're like, because I mean, like, you can even see that in Law and Order, like, there's every once in a while we're like, oh my God, they did a handheld shot. Like,
yeah,
there's
yeah,
and then like they'll come in, the director, and it's like, oh, look the director up, and it's like he did one episode of Law and Order and never did
yeah,
another one. And like, and then he went on to do big films or whatever, like,
yeah.
and you're like, oh
Quapis
shit,
is
okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Quapis is an interesting dude because like he's done not to get off too far off on a tangent, but like he wrote an autobiography basically cashing in on this whole like wave of office nostalgia that's come the
Yeah.
last 5 years.
Yeah.
Um, and there's so much stuff in there where I was like, I either forgot or didn't know a lot of the shit he did.
Hmm.
He did some features, and it's like most of them aren't really great, but it's like, oh wow, yeah, I can see that. Um, and then like he directed Follow That Bird,
Yeah.
the Big Bird feature film.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah.
and so it's like one of those things where you're reading this thing, and it's just like, yeah, sitcom that looks like every other sitcom, sitcom that looks like every other sitcom, sitcom that looks like every
Mhm.
oh Sesame Street movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that also ties in nicely. Next, we'll be talking very briefly. This is less of an
Yeah,
article, like less of a news summary thing, and more of a kind of like a brief, hopefully a brief conversation point.
yeah.
Is a reminder that the guy that canceled Sesame Street,
Yeah,
David Slasloff. How do you pronounce
Zaslav.
it? Zaslav. Um,
Zaslav. Yeah,
yeah, fuck him. Um, like I only pronounce people's names that I respect.
exactly.
But but you know, it's like Verge again has an article. The plan to quietly kill Coyote versus Acme blew up in David Zaslav's face.
Mhm.
Swift public outcry gave the movie a chance to speak itself. It's interesting the thing that because like obviously there's been a bunch of films that have this that have tried to do the Who Framed Roger Rabbit thing of
Yeah.
having people interacting with the cartoons, whether it be Looney Tunes or other ones, and mostly Looney Tunes. I'm trying to think of another one that's done it more recently, but it'll be interesting to see like this is a story I just by Charles Pullman Moore at The Verge, basically just kind of like giving a brief summary of like, oh, remember how all of this happened, and that
Yeah.
like, oh, he killed Batgirl, he killed Scoob Holiday Hunt, and then Coyote versus Acme, which was nearly finished when they announced that they back in 2023 that they put everything on ice and killed them or
Mhm.
whatever. And he also is, which is a good reminder that that David said that axing Batgirl took courage in quotes, which I remember
Wow.
that quote now that they mentioned it, where it's just like, oh man, like how fucking out of touch do you have to
Yeah,
be?
yeah.
We're like, I mean, obviously, I don't know. I know that like a lot of people took ire at Batgirl because because it looked good. Like there was no reason like what we saw
Yeah.
what we saw of it.
I mean,
Yeah.
the thing with Batgirl, and like this didn't get discussed a lot, I think, because like people
Hmm.
it was the narrative of it being like a tax dodge was so compelling, and obviously that's still true. But the one of the big things is that Zaslav doesn't seem to comprehend how like film and TV work as mediums.
Hmm.
Um, like his whole thing was, I don't want to make expensive stuff that looks good at HBO Max.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and anything that costs over X number of dollars has to go theatrical. Like
Yeah.
it can't be an HBO Max. And so like Batgirl was largely canceled, not just because he wasn't satisfied with the early test screening or whatever, but
Hmm.
also because like he had this kind of arbitrary thing where he was like, we're it's going to cost us money in reshoots
Yeah.
to make it look good enough for IMAX. And like I'm not going to spend that money.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it was this thing and like it was a weirdly specific set of circumstances that really like to me it felt like this is not a real problem. This is a David Zaslav problem. This is something that
Yeah.
he's decided in his head for whatever reason. It's like we're only going to spend $50 million or less on HBO Max projects,
Yeah.
and anything that we spend more than 50 million on is going to go theatrical.
Yeah.
And now we've got these movies that are mostly done that I don't think are ready for the theater.
Hmm.
And it's better to just burn them than to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and
It's
so
yeah.
that always frustrated me.
Yeah.
Like, uh, but yeah, the absolute like again, just being so completely out of touch with the sentiment of your audience to be like it takes courage to like shit on this thing that people were excited to see.
Yeah.
Um, and like Scoob Holiday Haunt was even worse. I mean, not even worse, but like that was a movie that didn't like wouldn't have it cost them the same amount.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had already pre-contracted the animators.
Yeah.
My understanding is that the animators finished that movie after it was shelved because it was already paid for,
Yeah.
so why not?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and like just finished that movie knowing like, okay, well, we're working on this thing that nobody's ever gonna see.
Yeah.
Um,
It's so it's the I think the biggest thing with him, because I mean like you can like go to like all the CEOs, whether it be, you know, the CEO over at I
yeah.
forget who the fuck is at Disney anymore. And
Is
uh
Tomorrow already taken over, or is Iger still there for a few more?
I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Like
Yeah,
you feel like I have like a vague feeling like I feel like the head of Netflix at least has some appreciation of film. Like maybe not, but like he gets. I wouldn't even want to say that. He gets what Netflix is. He understands
right.
the company that I think he created, right? He was founded, right? He's the
Hastings
co-founder.
is still
Yeah,
involved. He's not
Hastings.
the
Yeah,
CEO
yeah.
now, but
Oh, okay, but that because that's who I'm thinking of. And
yeah,
so, but it's just like they get what they're doing. They get
yeah,
what they may not actually understand what people's like financial situations are in America in
yeah.
2026 by continually just like upping and upping, upping their prices. Which I can't imagine paying $27 a month for fucking Netflix without
I
ads.
know.
Like I can't like if
Just
it wasn't
insane.
such a dramatic price difference, if they ever like tried to move it up to like $12. I mean, that was like Peacock was like off their fucking knocker. I think they're at like $11 a month for fucking Peacock.
Yeah,
Like, I mean, like it was just like anyway. But it's like I don't think that David understood what the fuck he was buying, what the fuck he was running with I mean very clearly he didn't. I mean with
yeah.
HBO and Warner Brothers. And not even like Warner Brothers, which is this big, huge entity. Like
Hmm.
obviously we all have ideas of like what Warner Brothers means, but like that, you know, it's not just Batman and it's not just
Hmm.
Superman and it's not just, you know, higher, you know, smarter, you know,
Hmm.
like older Hollywood films that they own they
Yeah,
they own the films. I don't want to say IP like for fucking Casablanca or
yeah,
something, but it's HBO. Like
yeah,
it's The Soprano. It's film. It's TV shows. At least TV shows that are going to win fucking Emmys, like without a doubt, and that are smart. And then movies that are you're like, why the fuck wasn't this in theaters? Like those two things.
yeah.
That's like what I always, you know. And the band played on. Like you just like these like huge. Maybe not huge films like physically, but like huge
Right.
films in like, you know, in the way that we talk about films. Like so many of them were just on HBO, like direct to HBO, and like we bought the
Yeah.
DVDs or whatever. I mean, like I was just talking fuck, of course I'm gonna blank on the name of the film. There's this absolutely fantastic film about the birth of CNN in over the Iraq War, the first
Hmm.
Iraq War. And it's got Michael Keaton in it, it's got Helen Carter, it's got a bunch of other people, but
Oh,
it,
yeah,
yeah, anyway, I've got it. I got it on. We'll talk about it at some point because it's like on
yeah,
all my short list of like, you know, when we talk about like Michael Keaton, like what's his best.
yeah,
Anyway,
yeah,
it's just like why he's also. It's always something I've always wanted to ask him. Like how many fucking journalists can this guy play? Does he love play?
yeah,
Anyway, but it's like that's a fucking like that film is huge. Like that film should have been, you know, now it would be a $65 million film that goes definitely to theaters. And maybe it doesn't make that much money because it's a, you know, film about the start of CNN and everybody fucking hates
yeah.
CNN right now. But without not without understanding, but it's one of those. It's like no, that's a proper fucking film that would people would win awards.
Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Yeah.
Sorry, we're back. We just had to take a slight break. Some breaking news on Roblox is going to, I guess, start throwing itself into the AI wood chipper for some fucking reason. But I'm sure we'll actually end up talking about that at a later point once we have
I'm sure.
once we have more info. But anyway, it is the big thing with this is just like I'm curious with the Coyote versus Acme whether or not. Um, I don't know if it would have made like it's something that like after you know we none of us really fought, but you know what I mean, like I don't think anybody fought like hard for this or whatever. You know, there was no like anything more than like petitions to bring it back, and I think that's like the
Well, I
biggest
mean,
thing that anybody, yeah. But
the thing that happened with Coyote versus Acme is that it was functionally complete.
mhm,
Like, and
yeah,
so it had already screened and it got like ecstatic
Yeah.
responses
Yeah.
from and so like in the case of like Batwoman or Batgirl,
Yeah.
everybody involved seems to be so I won't say blasé about it because like the directors were obviously very upset, but like they all want to work with Warner Brothers again.
Mhm.
And so nobody seemed to really take the studio to task for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
In the
I mean,
case of
if you want to work in a if you want to do a bat product, you kind of have to though. So I mean, like I wonder how much
yeah,
like I would understand. You're like you pour your heart and soul into, or you just work. I don't care. You work for 3 months on a product of any kind, and so it's like yeah, I know. I mean, if I want to work on a bat product at some
yeah,
point again. So yeah, I'm not going to burn that. I'm not going to burn the bridge
yeah,
of Warner Brothers. I'm not going to, knock down the water tower.
yeah. But that's like I think the big difference. I
Mhm.
think you're right. Like I don't think that necessarily like the internet was super angry about
Mhm.
versus Acme in a more meaningful way than they were about
Yeah,
Batwoman.
yeah, or
But
any product being just thrown into the
yeah,
tax heap. Yeah.
but I think that like the fact that people had already seen it,
Hmm.
I do think that when things are completed
Yeah.
or 99% completed, um, it puts a finer point on how wasteful
Yeah.
this all is
Yeah.
for like casuals who don't have a real strong understanding of how production works.
Yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
the thing that I was kind of getting at was just like I'm wondering, as somebody who is excited for it. I bought the DVD
Yeah.
of the last Looney Tunes release,
Hmm.
and it looks great. And uh, but I do wonder, like if it wasn't for this internet buzz and it was theatrically released on schedule at I forget what the budget is for the film. I mean, like I wonder if it would have broken even because it's like,
Absolutely not.
and so it's just
I
like it's one of those things where it's just like not that I would this is not even me joking or even saying that like good old David like oh this was his evil
yeah, yeah,
12 part chess or what or 12 level chess game, but it is one of those interesting things where it's just like yeah the what was it the Streisand kind of the Streisand effect really worked.
yeah.
It's
I
going to
mean,
do
the
its
other
duty
thing
on
is
this. It
that
probably will break even at this point, just
yeah, yeah. I mean, the other thing is that like it's gonna break even for somebody else.
yeah, yeah.
Because of the fact that there was so much buzz around it, and because of the fact that it's supposedly so good, there was a ton of like they had a little bidding war that seemed to be very pro forma. I I cannot imagine a scenario where Catch Up Entertainment, which is who's putting this movie
Hmm.
out, I cannot imagine a scenario where Catch Up Entertainment paid you more than what Paramount or Netflix was gonna give
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
And so they had that little bidding war where they screened it for Sony and Paramount and Netflix, and everybody there were some bids, and supposedly Zaslav refused to
yeah,
sell the movie unless somebody covered the entire production budget.
yeah.
So it was like Netflix was going to give them $40 million and then a piece of whatever,
Hmm.
and they wanted the whole 75 million or whatever the
Yeah,
number was.
yeah.
Um, and frankly, that's insane. I mean,
Yeah.
uh, the entire, you'd already signaled that you were willing to burn $45 million and get a $30 million tax
Yeah,
credit
yeah, yeah,
to
yeah,
make it go away. So I don't
yeah.
know why anybody would pay you 75 million. But in any case, like I feel like what happened here is that someone somewhere, whether it was internally, whether it was just the constant barrage of bad press or whatever it
Mhm.
was, I feel like someone somewhere finally kind of broke through to Warner Brothers
Yeah,
executives
yeah.
and was like, just just say yes. Like
Mhm.
just fucking let somebody make this. Because like there were a bunch of people who wanted to make this movie, but Warner Brothers was saying like, no, we want you to pay the entire budget.
Mhm.
And then like and to be clear, like if all they wanted was to be made whole, that would be one thing.
Yeah.
Like if it's like pay us $75 million and then you get our share of the box office, you get our share of home video, you get our,
Yeah.
but that's obviously not what they wanted. What they
No.
wanted was for somebody to pay the entire budget to license the film,
Yeah.
and then also Warner Brothers gets 100% of the home video revenue. Warner
Yeah.
Brothers gets to have it exclusively on HBO Max.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 It was according to a quick Google, it was $70 million
Yeah.
was the budget
I
of
will
the film.
say
Yeah.
I don't I don't know that there is a world where it makes sense to do a $70 million Looney Tunes movie right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah.
Like, I've heard nothing but great things about this movie. I'm very excited for this movie.
Yeah.
Spending $70 million on it seems irresponsible.
Yeah.
Um, like in the same vein as uh, in the same vein as the thing where you spend $400 million or whatever it was on the Flash, and you're
Yeah.
like, in what world are you ever going to get that back?
Yeah.
Like, even if the movie had been good, even if the movie had not been poisoned by the discourse, even if it's like, in what scenario would you have made that money back?
Yeah.
Like, you're not.
Yeah.
And obviously, Coyote versus Acme cost a lot less money, and there is, I think, you got this problem of like, if you greenlight the movie, there's probably a pretty high floor
Mhm.
to making a movie like this, because it's like animation isn't cheap,
Yeah.
and if the animation looks like shit, then you've just burned all your credibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so like, there's got to be a high floor, but it's also like, and I certainly like, in the same way that you're like, I'm not siding with Zaslav here,
Mhm.
like, by any stretch of the imagination. But I do, like, I question, like, how did they come to these decisions?
Yeah.
How did you decide after the abject failure of Space Jam 2, which is a movie that had a lot more going for it in terms
Yeah.
of like recognizability and all that?
IP, it had,
Yeah.
fans of, theoretically fans of LeBron James, everything. Yeah.
And like, the abject failure of that, and it's like you're spending $70 million on a Coyote movie,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Not even a Bugs Bunny movie. I mean, not, I mean,
yeah,
or whatever. It's like you're not taking yeah. It is, I think the Flash metaphor is workable there. Where it's like, yeah, you're third or third tier character that has
yeah,
whatever, and then I mean, thankfully, Coyote, as far as we know, hasn't kidnapped anyone in Vermont, and
yeah.
it was
I
Vermont,
will
right?
say,
Was it?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I will say, one of the other fun things, if you go on Threads right now,
Mhm.
one of my favorite accounts is the Coyote versus Acme account.
Oh, nice.
Um, there's a scene, you can see it in the trailer, where Wile E. Coyote is in court, and he holds up a sign that says like Acme sucks or something, and
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
in the trailer the lawyer like slaps it out of his hand.
Mhm.
Um, they have turned that into like a meme format
Yeah.
where they'll respond to things with the picture of Coyote with the sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they've done a really good job. I've seen they keep popping up in my algorithm, and it's a combination of like name searching, because at least one of them like had Wile E. Coyote was already mentioned in the
Yeah.
feed. Like, the one that jumps out at me right now, somebody had posted something along the lines of uh buying and returning $20,000 worth of anvils just to fuck with Amazon's shipping costs. Um, and the Coyote versus Acme movie came in with Coyote holding a sign that said like, "I'm watching you" or something, because anvils. But
No, it's I mean, I hope it does well. I mean, 70, like, like I said, I mean, like we've talked about this a million times, where it's just like we need to start making, I don't know what the number is that, like, but like bring back the $50 million action
mhm.
film, bring back, which I obviously, it's just like it's funny that I forget what I was looking up recently about Hudson Hawk. I usually am just like looking up things about Hudson Hawk, like you do. And it's just like I remember like all the headline $25 million bomb, and
Yeah,
it's just like $25 million. Like, could you imagine, like, Bruce Willis, one of the biggest action stars in the world at
Yeah.
that point, like, and, you know, they threw $25 million at a weird, quirky, you know,
Yeah.
action comedy something. I don't know what it's necessarily supposed to be. And even though I've watched it 400 times, like, I don't know. But it's just like thinking about like what, you know, what's the equivalent, about probably $75 million now. I don't know, maybe $100 million
Yeah.
dollars. Like, this is in the 90s. I don't know if they're that much anyway, but it's not that much money for like a, you know, I mean, just the fact, I mean, like obviously, you know, Sinners made its money to the
Yeah.
chagrin of what was it, Variety, I forget which place was saying, had that
Yeah.
famous headline we talked about where it's like it's not gonna, you know, it's just like not a great weekend, even though it was number one at the box office, and it was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's gonna be a slow. But you know, I think One Battle After Another had like an insane $125 million budget.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I would have never, like, I love the film. I've seen it multiple times. I got the DVD, I got the Blu-ray. Like, but I would have never, but I like, if I was a producer and like, unless I was like, no, unless they have like some budget somewhere of like,
Yeah.
these are Oscar films. Like, I think it
Yeah.
goes back kind of the Apple thing where it's just like Apple's a $1 trillion company. Like, they can throw money at high end products that are going to either win Oscar. You know, I mean, again, like, you know,
Yeah.
Scorsese, they can give them a bunch of money. I mean, like, both of them, we're going to get an Oscar and that's what we're spending this money on. And I guess that's, you
Right.
know, what they
Exactly.
did. And then they just ended up competing with themselves. I guess I don't know if they never thought that Sinners was going to do so
Yeah.
well and everything like that, which is kind of funny. But even though it should have won fucking everything, anyway. Um, I'm curious on like what the, like when you see certain films where it's just like, again, like the $70 million for
Yeah.
Coyote versus Acme, where it's just like, why did it get, other than the fact that like this is how much it costs if you want to make this film, this is how much it's going to cost, and somebody was
Yeah.
like, you know, just like you hear about the buzz when it comes to Hollywood stuff where it's just like all it takes is like the right producer at the right
Yeah.
moment and the buzz starts, and like you can get a script that normally 5 years earlier would have been sold for $25,000 in a handy,
Yeah.
suddenly making $1 million for $2 million for some guy, and it's just
Yeah.
like, okay. Like, I guess maybe that's, I don't know, but anyway, not again, this is just a weird kind of, to me it's such a weird example of like what the fuck
Yeah.
is
And
going on. And
it's a weird situation because
yeah,
again, like I feel like it was a big black eye for Warner
yeah,
Brothers and they backed down. And I would love to know exactly how it really happened because like I said, I cannot imagine a scenario where Catch Up
yeah.
Entertainment is giving them more than what they were offered and declined from
Yeah.
Netflix.
I mean, the one
Um,
thing I will say, at least it's not selling it to your competition like directly. You know, I mean, like
yeah,
if you're
and I mean
thinking
that might be
HBO
part of it.
Max 2 or Max at that point, I think selling it to Netflix, I think would be like, no, they also know. I mean, also to be fair, also knowing Netflix like has the money. Like,
Yeah,
to me, if I was Netflix, I would have spent the money. I would have been like, fuck you, I'm doing it. And like, but like,
yeah,
whatever, just as a like, we've got more
yeah,
money than you, brother. Like, it would be like to just kind of, because, you know, the goodwill, like, I feel like Netflix could always use, you
yeah,
know, would be that would be it. Um, okay, so the final quick story that I think we're going to talk about is another one that's like kind of depressing. Um, in Semaphore, a story by Max Tanney. What's next for Letterbox? And basically, it's Letterbox is proposing that it is going to sell itself. The Canadian holding company Tiny has spoken to potential buyers from CNBC and MS Now, parent company Versant, to the Hollywood startup the Ankler about the platform, which hosts. Everybody knows what I feel like everybody knows what
yeah,
Letterbox does, and so it's that feels kind of sad, you know, as we talked about, you know, the death of Newsarama, and we talk
mhm,
about like kind of the shitifications of all these other companies, that like Letterbox, like I used to be a paid member of Letterbox back when I like had
yeah,
big goals of like doing doing more things there, and I like barely do
yeah,
anything there. Honestly, it just feels like one more fucking social media site that I'm you know, so,
yeah,
and but it's just kind of like, that's sad for this, because it feels like this is you know, you have like, you know, you have famous actors like intermingling, you know, as
yeah,
much as there's not really that much intermingling, it's not like it's like Reddit or something. And I don't know. It just it's like another like why does everything fucking have to be terrible? I feel like Letterboxd is
Yeah,
like that
it
one kind of
really
nice
like
place. You're like, okay, I can watch some pretend I can like go read some pretentious ass
yeah.
film students at NYU's like takes on films that you know
Yeah. I, the only thing I will say, and this doesn't make it less sucky, but like
Mhm.
it's like we probably should have seen this coming 2 months
Yeah.
ago when they rolled out that video store feature. It's like
Mhm.
they rolled out this thing where it's like
Yeah.
you can buy and rent movies through their platform,
Yeah.
and it's like that is so expensive to like hosting that stuff is so expensive. It's like I've seen so many places like the just today uh uh Shout Factory sent out the email that they're officially closing down the Gizmoplex, which
Yeah.
is the Mystery
Yeah.
Science Theater
I forgot to add
3000
that. Yeah.
streaming site.
Yeah. And the
um
app on Roku, which is like I
yeah,
sold all my aunt had a huge collection of MST3K,
yeah,
and one of the reasons I sold a bunch of them was because I'm like, oh, I mean, like that's I don't know if I said to myself that will always be there, but like that's
yeah,
there.
yeah.
If I want to watch something, I can watch it. And now it's like great. Now it's not there.
Well, and with like this is something that I really like. I think this is going to be the next big thing where a lot of data disappears and a lot of stuff
Hmm.
disappears. Is like I said, it's super expensive to host these things, and people don't think about that.
Yeah.
And a lot of companies look at, for years now, people look at Netflix and they're like, look at all the money they have. They're the biggest player in Hollywood
Yeah.
now. Um, like, how do I do that? And they think like, oh, well, digital doesn't cost anything,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And so they think that like you can just kind of get into that market. And it's like, no, it's really fucking expensive to host, especially now, like we said, with AI driving the cost
Yeah.
of everything up. Um, and like because the Gizmoplex thing happened, and because I'm in the middle of like finally building this Plex server that I've been promising myself forever I was going to get done,
Yeah.
I went to Mill Creek Entertainment, where I have like a handful of shows and stuff that I had bought.
Hmm.
And Mill Creek used to have their own bespoke like digital library where you could go like I own theoretically a digital copy of my Kids in the Hall box set.
Yeah.
But I went to the Mill Creek website for the first time in like 3 years just to be like, oh, I should download that and put it on the Plex server. There is no sign anywhere of
Yeah.
anything where you could download. Like they've just completely eradicated that feature set.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, again, not surprising because like it's crazy expensive, and like Mill Creek Entertainment is not
Hmm.
a company that has a lot of
Yeah.
cash on hand, I don't
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. I mean,
But
like I feel like Letterbox like had like a huge I think when they did their like it specifically it wasn't like a streaming platform, it was like a basically the way that Vimeo does like you can host it and whatever. And so
yeah,
that was going to be more of a boutique thing of independent films and whatever. And what's
yeah,
I forget what the kind of really indie app Mubi
yeah, movie,
did and then they kind of shot themselves in the head with a bunch of statements and kind of like ethical lapses within cinema in the middle
yeah,
of a genocide and everything. But like I used to be a member. I funny I like subscribed to that. They had some crazy ass cheap deal, like it was like $3 a month or something like that for the first 6 months, and I totally never
yeah,
watched a single fucking thing on it. I had so many films. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna sit down and watch this French film from
yeah.
and I'm like,
So many
and I'm like,
like
I should do that. I mean, like, yeah, I've been very lacking on my like watching good, healthy, good cinema.
yeah,
And like what a fucking I think I'm watching fucking Blacklist now. That's what I'm watching. I'm like, oh my God. But anyway, but at least like what they were trying to do, or they are trying to do is like independent film, but like everybody kind of balked at like it was like $20 rentals for an independent film. And
right,
I think their correct, response, if I remember correct, or at least people's correct response was just like, yeah, it is fucking expensive. And also like we need to make a profit. And also the idea is to get indie cinema to be able to make some money from it because there
right,
just isn't a fucking place where it's featured. I mean, like you can
yeah,
drop, we dealt with that with vigilantes, the fact that
Yeah.
like nobody wanted it streaming, no one was going to pay for it, and then like there's just nowhere you can fucking put it and expect people to pay because you put it on Amazon even for 99 cents. Right next to that is 17 other free products that people are like, eh. And then so it's
I've
just like,
heard of.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And so it's just like, why the fuck would I pay for something? I'm just watching content, it's whatever.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, Vimeo kind of exists. Vimeo's really fucking expensive if you're trying to do like
Yeah.
commercial level shit. It's probably like not that expensive compared to what people might spend, but it's the turnover is fucking terrible. And also, but it also
Yeah.
doesn't feature anything, and it's not like there's not like a web store that's friendly and the way that Amazon and the way that Netflix, the way that
Right.
whatever has it. But they were trying to do that. I mean, I still hope that succeeds. That would be nice.
Yeah.
Just as somebody who likes the idea of independent cinema, even if I'm watching the fucking Blacklist for the second time and watching American Dad, and that's why I'm like all I've been consuming. I'm fucking watching Kitchen Nightmares, the old episodes. What the fuck am I doing with my life? But anyway, but it's it would be, it's I'm glad I didn't spend any time and effort there because I mean that's my biggest thing is just like
Yeah.
we always have to remind ourselves that when the product is free, we are the we
Yeah.
are the product. When the thing is free, we are the product or whatever the line is. And
Yeah.
just like Facebook's free, like, and so yeah, no, it's your content bins, but the Reddit is free. And your thing is being your stuff is being is just
Right.
like if you fucking type in a question to AI, it is getting an answer from something fucking chud in fucking Missouri that answered on how to change a tire or whatever. Hope to God it's not
Yeah.
some OSHA violation level of bullshit because that's what AI is feeding from is fucking Reddit. And
Yeah.
so like all your comments, all your thoughts, all your stories are being sold to the mediocre bidder of whatever AI company is buying that
Yeah.
information, which is like just fucking depressing. Because Reddit, like you were saying, like Reddit's fucking destroyed
Yeah.
all of the small, kind of like the niche areas that we used to go to talk about things. And it's like, why would you start it there? There's a free Reddit hosting. It's just like we're constantly
Yeah.
having this conversation about Substack, where it's just like we really would like to be on Ghost or be on some other platform, but the entry point of that for two people that don't make any fucking money from this,
Yeah.
is like that's too high. It's more than $20 a month. It's too high. Like that's my rule.
Yeah.
And I looked into it to host, what we do in the podcast and everything like that, and it's
Yeah.
just like, no, Substack's free. They're losing money on me. Like I can
Yeah.
promise you, they're losing
Yeah.
money on us. Like so. Anyway,
Especially when our 15-minute podcasts are an hour and a half long.
my timer stopped. Like I don't know what it was like. It was like I don't believe you. My phone was like I know you well enough. You're not paying attention to this.
All right. Well, any
Anyway,
final thoughts before we go to
anyway,
sleep? 'Cause
God, I was trying to I thought I saw something recently, but anyway, um, yeah, no, I got nothing. Um,
this,
so I mean, this will make a more direct announcement of, but if you are
yeah.
listening this far, um, we got a deal for you. If you subscribed, we're gonna start doing some stuff that's actually behind like paywalls and stuff like that, like or at
Right.
least or probably a delay. Like we're not that cruel that like we won't have it or whatever. We know our audience also is not big enough to like
Yeah.
spend an hour doing something and being like 14 people are going to pay for it. But if you subscribe to visu.news at any level, or you subscribe to ECV at any level, you get the other one's subscription for free. You get that for
Right.
free. And so basically, if you subscribe to ECV for $5 a month or whatever, you get all of the visu.news wonderful product, which I just did an interview with white nationalist Jared Taylor. So that's the
Well,
product I give you.
and the one thing, because we talked a lot about the fact
Mhm.
that we don't like putting stuff behind the paywall.
Yeah.
But like we're trying to figure out a way to make this more profitable.
Yeah, yeah. More
And so
profitable at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Like break even still. Like
But for what I'm doing, right, like the first thing that we're doing in terms of stuff behind the paywall
Mhm.
is I'm going to start rolling out some of the interviews that I'm doing for my upcoming Velocipaster book and my upcoming Spin Doctors book of essays. And so you'll have interviews with like members of the Spin Doctors, with some of the people who made Velocipaster,
Mhm.
and that in the final version of the book, it's not going to be just that interview. It's going to be integrated into like an oral history or something.
Yeah.
But like here, you'll get a sneak preview of that stuff first. It'll be, and again, like I think that the ECV yearly thing is $37 a year, in a row. And so it's not that expensive, but like we're just trying to like encourage some people to support what we're doing. More and more, I feel like I just despondent about the state of the entertainment press. And so it's like, no, like support indie people doing cool, weird shit because like that's the only way you're going to get it anymore.
Yeah.
Because like, for years I did cool, weird shit at Comic Book, and then we got bought by a venture capital firm, and now it's Screen Rant.
Yeah.
And that's not even a slam at them because that's just how the industry is right now.
Yeah. There's you can't mention a place that, has done that. And like, I've seen like people at 404 Media, like I think they were the Gawker kind of world. Or Gizmodo and stuff like that. Like they started their own kind of collective thing. And that's something like we're kind of looking at. I'm trying to figure out how to bring in some other, on both sides, like bring in some other writers and journalists and that sort of thing to work for us, as how the thing is that we're trying to figure out how do we pay, because we also refuse to be like, there's a ton of people out there that would be probably happy to write for free to have a place and build that portfolio thing, but as we used to say in Alaska, you die of exposure. And which is always my phrase whenever somebody asks me to do, it's like, oh, it would be good for your portfolio or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, motherfucker, I've been working for 20 years. Like I don't need, my portfolio is overflowing. It's my bank account that needs help. But it also means, I'm just like, again, like we, it's like we would both really like to get back to Comic Cons. We have a whole bunch of ideas that will be, launching like big interviews, that sort of thing. It's just, but we need to physically get there, because, like Zoom calls are great and everything like that. But it's just like, we have this, big idea that we want to do is like start, talking to writers and artists, but like, I don't know, like there's a billion people doing Zoom calls, with these people, even like, longer interviews, but it's like going into their, like, I love, like I ages ago, one of the first interviews I did with, really anyone on video was Molly Crabapple, who's a great artist, and you can go to visu.news, and I just did an interview with her about her new book about the Jewish Bund, and which I also highly recommend getting. It's like I remember back, my God, it would have been 2000. No, maybe it wasn't the first one of the early ones, because I think it was during Occupy Wall Street, or no, it was before, when I interviewed anyway. But it was super early, and got to see her like where she works, and she had this amazing apartment in Wall Street, or in the in that area, and it was just a crazy space of like seeing her work and everything like that. And it's just like, it just adds so much, like you understand an artist more, and it's something we would like to do. We don't want to mention names, but like it's they're names that you would really like to hear more from. So
but so we'll be making a more like official announcement on in print with some specific details soon, but we've been kind of cooking up some stuff for a while, and then the first piece of it, like you said, is like starting to share subscribers, so that it's like, as we're putting stuff behind the paywall, we're also encouraging people to like go over there and check out the free stuff, because like that, why not?
I think we'll start probably doing a little bit more cross posting too. Like I just interviewed a director of a new documentary, and obviously that works for ECV as well. Also, like the more around the photojournal, the more like photo, like camera photo and video play around the lens podcast that I do with David Murphy. I'm going to start pulling more kind of stuff in from there to ECV and also into Visu News. So if you're subscribed to one or whatever, there'll be some crossover if like you're more interested in entertainment stuff and less interested in, the political kind of like stuff. I'm also going to try to start doing more general like political news coverage, not just my kind of niche shit that you probably don't, if you're listening to this podcast, there's probably a good decent crossover, but like, I'm like, I don't really need to hear what these assholes say.
Yeah,
I get
I
enough
mean,
of that, just whatever.
and
But yeah.
similarly on my end, like I'm getting back to writing more often for ECV. I'm finishing my book Time to Be Heroes, which should have been done by now, but every time I think I'm done, something happens, whether it's a positive thing or like, because the most recent delay was I just got some interviews that I never thought I was going to get, and so I get to tack them on the end of the book.
Sweet.
But once I'm done with Time to Be Heroes, which should be in the next like couple of weeks,
Mhm.
I'm going to be able to focus a lot more energy here, and also probably put some stuff behind the paywall that's teasing Time to Be Heroes and the
Nice.
Legends of Tomorrow, like oral history and all the Arrowverse stuff that I covered for a decade. But yeah, so in any event, watch out. There's going to be more stuff coming to both sides of this coin, and we're going to really be trying to we're trying to push more people towards a paid subscription, and in that vein, we're also trying to make the paid subscriptions worth more.
Yep.
Again, like on the ECV side, I'll admit I haven't posted on Substack a lot because like I would love to not be on Substack, but again, like there's just until we're making enough money that we could actually pay to to host
Yeah.
somewhere else.
Yeah, that's
It's kind of like we're kind of locked in here because I'm making very very little from my side gigs. I again I have to finish a book so that I can eat.
yeah.
But yeah, so keep an eye on this spot. We're gonna have more specifics very soon, and we're gonna have some stuff behind the paywall, possibly as early as like Monday or Tuesday. Again, I think that my interview with Aaron Comas, the drummer from the Spin Doctors, I've I've transcribed it. I've got to clean it up a little bit, but I think I'm probably going to run a lot of these interviews just as like straight Q&As with a few
Mhm.
paragraphs of intro, just so that you can kind of see, like, hey,
Cool.
here's what's going on, and like Aaron's interview will be one of a number of things that are going into the Spin Doctors book. It's not like I'll be putting the whole book up on the blog, but giving people a chance to read some of the stuff early is the best thing I can possibly do in terms of the putting stuff behind the paywall. Because again, like when you write news, you don't want to stick something behind the paywall, have three people see it,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
like in a week pull it out and it's like, oh, 100 people read it once it was no longer news. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's my problem over on Visu. It's where it's like it's if I'm writing about something, usually it's kind of like either responding to breaking news or I'm creating breaking news, and
Yeah.
there's very little like, oh, just I don't have I would love to do long form investigations again, but I don't have a foundation behind me like I used to. So
Yeah.
but maybe that'll be something we could any rich donors out there, I'm happy to start a nonprofit again,
Exactly.
and we can do this. Oh, and finally, if you have any name, if you have any idea, we're blanking on
Yeah.
what the fuck to call this thing.
Yeah.
Like it's
Yeah,
just like
well,
you,
and
yeah,
just to clarify, what he
yeah,
means is like
yeah,
we're talking about like potentially giving it an umbrella term
yeah,
so that like ECV will still exist, Visa News will still
yes,
exist, but
yeah,
like will be part of a collective called like the something.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah,
again, look at the Verge and the Bulwark and all of these
yeah,
people who have a similar structure to what we're talking about.
yeah.
And we kicked around a handful of ideas, but nothing's really jumping out yet.
Yeah, yeah. All the evil tech firms have taken all the. We
I
were
know.
gonna go for Palantir, but
It's
anyway,
really well, you know what I should
uh,
do? I should reach out to Mark Guggenheim, the guy
yeah,
who created
yeah,
Arrow and Legends, because like in Arrow they had like nine of those like shady evil organizations
yeah,
that are like verdant,
yeah,
and
yeah.
the God, what was the conspiracy called in the first season? The Undertaking. You know.
I was thinking I was like if I was trying to go through all the like the clerk stuff and I was just
Yeah.
like, yeah, Leonardo doesn't work. I mean, like I would love to be here I'm Zach Roberts here at Capitol Hill. I'm about to interview Senator Senator from Missouri, and I'm from the Leonardo
Yeah.
or the Quickie Mart or something, which is
I'm from
yeah,
uh Big American Party. That's what I was thinking.
From hamsters. Or
Yes.
Is it hamsters or gerbils?
Gerbils.
I haven't watched this. God, I'm gonna have to go back through that. Yes.
What's funny is that when you said it, I knew exactly what you meant, and the only reason I know it was gerbils instead of hamsters is because as soon as you said gerbils, my brain heard Jeff Anderson saying Patrick Swayze's Pet Store. Maybe that's what we can call it. We can call the site Patrick Swayze's Pet Store.
I love to see make up press credentials for that. Then we get sued by the Patrick Swayze estate. Like, what? And the lawsuit is just what? Question mark.
All right, and on that note, we should probably go to sleep. It's clear that we need it.
Anyway.
All right, thanks everybody for listening. Be back here by noon on the 5th day for more Emerald City Video, and always remember to rewind your cassettes.